Hey everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. This is Kana and you're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in my corner right now is Ellyn Stern-Epcar. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm delighted to be here.
And we're
How
not
are
face to
you?
face, but we love the phone conversations, and I am good. Thank you for asking.
Oh, good. How's everybody out there? Hello.
I think they're very happy because they get to, we have a chat actually, and they're all typing and going woohoo and all that fun stuff.
Well, wonderful. Now, I know that you're an anime-based radio station, right?
Yes, we are, but we are free to listen, know about everything that you do, the on-camera work, the animation, all that fun stuff.
Well, why don't we start with the anime? On Bleach, I play Masaki Kurosaki. I play Ichigo's mom, and on Noen, I play Yu's mom. On Mar, I play Jack's mom. I've done a lot of moms. I'm everyone's mom. Hello, children. um, anyhow, basically, people have typecast me a great deal in the mom role because that's where my home voice is. However, I do a lot of voices. I do thousands of voices. I started doing anime about 30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And one of the first games that I did was one of the first series that I did, rather, was Robotech. And as a matter of fact, I'm sure all the fans know about the recent tragedy. Carl Masek just passed away. And very, very sad because there was a chunk of us. We started out together, and with Carl being gone, it's like there's a big chunk out of our armor. We were this wonderful little group that started together, and we're deeply sad about Carl's passing. The memorial was just this last week. It was a public memorial, and everyone was invited to it. As a matter of fact, I do believe that there is a lot posted on Facebook and on the Robotech official site about it.
We heard quite a lot about this. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I would like to say if you are interested, we're supposed to talk with Steve Kramer tomorrow just about Carl in a way to sort of remember him and honor him.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, Steve was right there in Robotech because he was writing it, and he was writing it with Carl. So he's just wonderful. As a matter of fact, Steve, well, I don't know whether I'm allowed to say this, but I'll say it. Steve hosted a private memorial for friends. He and his wife, Melora, did that, and they were just so gracious, and it was so lovely and very, very heartfelt, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. I adore Steve. I've known him forever. He's amazing.
That's actually, very interesting to know, and I do hope that, my thoughts go out to him. I never got a chance to talk with him, which I feel bad for at this point, and I do respect everything he did do for, the anime industry and also all the other work he did.
Yeah, he's, as I said, there was a group of us that started out. It was me and Steve Kramer and Melora Hart and Carl Masek, and there was a group of, I guess, like 30 of us that started out together, and we just banged all the shows out together. And then it exploded. And as I have said at conventions, we had no idea when it began that it was going to have the legs it had. I mean, for us, it was just another paycheck, and we went in and, of course, had a great deal of fun. We were kind of the black sheep child of the animation studios. We worked hours 10 to 3, the more respectable animation and voice work happened during the day. So we worked hours like 10 to 3, and we were working in all different studios all at the same time. It was, we had no idea it was going to become what it became.
Oh, definitely. You got to see the anime boom firsthand in, I would say, the late 90s, early 2000s, when everybody knew about it, and it was kind of
Well,
a sort of
actually,
side...
we started even before that.
You mean you started
way
noticing before that?
You're meaning noticing. Yeah, it wasn't until the late 90s that all of a sudden people started saying, "Oh, you're in this show and you're in that show," and we were going, "Yes," and I mean, we were very, very surprised that and of course delighted that it has and had the fan base that it does.
Oh, definitely. And did you think that anime was going to stay at the high point that it was, or did you think it had sort of peaked, or was going to peak?
You mean when we were first recording it?
When you saw the popularity go up, did you think the popularity was going to stay?
No. Had no idea. Had no idea of the power of the anime. None whatsoever. Came as a total surprise. Wasn't
Oh,
thinking about
definitely.
it as a matter of fact, I'm an actress first. And when I do voice work, I bring my training, my experience, my work, my body of work as an actress. I bring that to every role that I do. And so voice work was kind of like a sideline. I never thought of it as a mainstream career, and it's become the fullest body of my career is the voice work.
Would you say that voicing in comparison to on-camera work is more difficult or more fun?
They each have their fun. Here's the fun about voice work. You go into a booth, you pretty much, most of the time, you have no idea what they're going to throw at you. And they go, "Okay, we want you to catch this person right here." And they give you a small biography about what they are, who they are. And then you have to come up with a voice immediately. So your tools have to be very, very sharp to come up with these characters instantaneously. I mean, some of them repeat, but generally, more than not, the challenge is to go in and find the character immediately. And you have no idea. You look at this drawing, you look at the animation, and you say, well, what would this character sound like? What would a frog sound like who was, living in the desert? I mean, would he be parched? Would he be, thirsting? Would he have any water? I mean, lots of times you don't know those things. And sometimes the director doesn't even know those things. So you have to come up with all your wisdom right there in the booth. The difference between that and, say, film or television or stage, you have time to prepare. For film, you're given a script, and you know what the character is. You've auditioned for it. You've probably had discussions with the director about it. So you do your homework. You fill in the blanks and you build a character, and then you go on set and you know, you do it right there, and you rehearse. But you don't have really time to rehearse within anime. You go in and they go, okay, rehearsal, and you rehearse once, and they go, okay, on tape, and that's when you record. That's your rehearsal, and that's when you go on tape.
So you definitely need
Now,
sharper senses then.
you need to be very, very sharp. Now, in stage, you'll prepare and have a rehearsal process of 6 weeks in which you explore the character and you explore the play with all the other characters. So you have 6 weeks that you're exploring. And then you go on and you'll have a run, say, of 6 weeks. And every performance is different. You never know what is going to happen. So it's a much, much deeper, concentrated work when you're doing a play or when you're doing a film or television. But anime has its specialties. You have to be very, very alert. You have to be very quick. You have to have a great sense of improvisation, because a lot of it is based on improvisation. But then once you're in the studio, you have to be very, very exacting. You have your time frame. You have your loop count. You start at a certain point and you end at another point, and you have, say, 15 seconds to get the whole line in, and it has to match the labials and the plosives. Those are the mouth movements. It has to be in sync so that we can, in the end, make the product look like English rather than looking like it's out of sync. That's always the objective.
Now, my question is, would the voice acting aspect help you, and the on-camera aspect or the studio aspect help you with the voice acting aspect, and vice versa? Are they all sort of universal in terms of sort of making your skills grow?
You know, as a voice actress, I'm used to going in and just running with it, flying. And so I would think that in turn, I bring that kind of spontaneity to my work in film and on the stage. It's a spontaneity. Likewise, I think I worked 15 years with the Zephyr Improv group, and I think improvisation is vital to being to create both on film and in anime. Now, here's the thing: people who are I'm jumping around here, but this thought just occurred to me, so permit me. People who are musical seem to have a much easier time at doing the sync than other people. You can take an actor who cannot do the dubbing, cannot perform it. It's very, very hard. Likewise, you can have a voice actor who is only good at voice acting, who is not trained as an actor, and it would be hard for him to enter into the world of film and television and stage. But where they're both where all these mediums are similar, and this didn't used to be. It used to be, everybody wanted a cartoon voice, and now people are wanting less cartoon voices, and they're wanting to have more reality in the characters. Have you noticed that?
I have, actually, now that you mention it, and I will say that was adorable, by the way. But I remember back in the day watching Sailor Moon, and Sailor Moon was very cartoony in the way it was portrayed, despite the fact that, it was an anime. And when I look at anime today, they are very serious, and I never even thought about it that way. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's much more real. So there tends to be more typecasting.
For instance, if I can do a little girl, I tend not to do little girls as much as someone who is normally up there, and she normally talks like this, and this is the way she talks all the time.
And so she's going to be brought in before me.
Right,
You
I
know?
can understand that. And at the same time, though, every anime at least has one mother, so at least you're going to get a lot of those roles.
Well, not everybody has children, and I have 2 grown children, and so everybody thinks of me as the mom. You know, so even though it's only the voice, there tends to be some typecasting. Although my husband Richard Epcar went out a bunch of guys to play a black man on Bobobo.
Oh, wow.
And which was the other what was the other series that he did? Or there was another show that he did. I'm forgetting what it was. But again, he won out some heavy-hitting black men for the role of a black man. He is not black, he's white. My husband is talented. There tends to be less jiggle room among women than there is among men, because women, there's less roles for women. I do a panel. I go to conventions all over, the world, and I do this panel called Women in Anime. And I talk about the women in anime and how there's very, very few roles, and how I'm getting a little political here. Is that okay?
Oh, that's perfectly fine.
Anime was born out of manga, and manga had a tendency towards male fetishism. And so basically that male fantasy worked its way through into anime. So you have the women who have the large eyes, the big hair, the large breasts, the Barbie doll look. And there's less of a tendency to have more real women. Now, if you look at your anime characters, there's tons of men and tons of young boys who are real, who have less of what they call who don't have, as the young women do, like a Lolita kind of a presence. Like you mentioned Sailor Moon. I mean, Sailor Moon solved things on her own through her magical abilities, but still, I mean, it was a lot of a lot that was shown of the breast. You could still see the nipples. It was the skirt was flying up, so it tended towards flirting towards the male fantasy even more so. And anime has had a great life, and I'd like to see it continue and not end, because it is kind of at a plateau right now, and the market's been glutted. And there's another reason for anime kind of drawing to a close right now. Not to a close, but it's really slowed down. And that's that a lot of people are pirating anime rather than buying it. So the market, there isn't as much growth in the market, and so less is being produced. So I make a plea to all the fans to please not just take copies of your anime, to go out and buy it so that we can produce more anime for you, because the market sales tell the distributors and the creators of anime what to put out. And if there's no sales being gotten, then they're not putting out more.
We've been sort of dubbing it the anime depression. We've talked extensively about this to a lot of our fans, because a lot of our fans out there are obviously dub fans who like supporting the industry. And, you know, it's really quite sad that it is sort of getting to a downfall point, but we've been asking our fans out there to tell us how they think anime will sort of come back. You know, what will be the future of anime? Do you have an opinion on that?
Now, here I go back into my political opinion. I would like to see, and I challenge all the people out there to do stories. Who says that anime only has to happen from Japan? Why can't we create anime here as well? And so I challenge all the people who want to be writers, all the young women who want to have role models, to write stories about young women who are just real people, who go through real situations, and take it away from the manga titillation that has been pretty much the constant in the field. Now, this is not to say it is all like that, but when you look, there's a lot of gender crossing, for instance, and then what you have is you have a woman, but she looks like a woman or a young woman, but she's still in the body of a man. So it still isn't the same thing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do kind of understand what you're talking about, and I think this is very interesting. I need to catch one of your panels now.
Well, I would hope you I hope you would, and it's a subject that I'm really quite passionate about, because young girls need role models. And who are your role models? And I ask this all the time from the young girls. And you know, there are certain shows that young girls say, well, she's my role model. But it's kind of a hard-pressing issue. It's hard for young girls to point out a young female character in the world of anime and say, this is my role model. Of course, I know it's animation, but there are role models for guys. And generally, the role models are guys, not women. And we need role models, because if anime is to survive, if it's to have a life beyond what we know it, we have to, and you want your daughters to watch it and your grandchildren to watch it, and for it to have a life beyond, then we've got to reach out and have more significant roles for women.
Oh, I definitely agree with that.
And even in the shows, because my husband and I, Richard Epcar, and I have a company called Epcar Entertainment, Inc., and we do a lot of the anime shows we have historically, and we also do a lot of the games and anything to do with voice. And I've got to tell you that in casting, because I sit on the other side of the fence also, because of my production company, and when you look at the numbers, excuse me, water. One of the first rules of a voice actor is you have to have water by your side at all times. Anyhow, when you look at the characters, you'll maybe even have your two female leads, but then they're surrounded by men. There was just an audition that happened today. All men, no women. It's pretty typical. And then, if there are roles, they're all the high roles. The young girl.
Hi, how are you? Oh, I'm fine.
And it comes from the Japanese culture, which has held women suppressed for so many generations. And so, what is the ideal woman for a Japanese man? I mean, I'm speaking generally. I'm not speaking individually. Please understand. It's to have her be kind and sweet and loving and non-complaining and beautiful, right?
Yes, I've seen that quite a few times.
Right. It's very, very important, and you see it all through the anime. And then if you have a female character who is doing it on her own, she is pretty much always, if she's not saved by a man, then she has magical powers that do it for her. But again, going back to my point, I'd love to see young girls have a role model by having characters that just solve problems through their intellect and through their emotions.
Well, no,
and that would be...
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
no.
that
Go ahead.
it would be very interesting, and I will say that I'm sure a lot of our listeners now are very interested in your panel, and I think we'll take a very short break, and when we do come back, we'll find out what conventions you can catch Ellyn over. So make sure to stay tuned to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want, nothing you don't.
Ever wonder what's going on in the anime world? Check out 918 The Fan every weekday for the newest iStock. We'll fill you in on everything you need to know in 3 minutes or less. Only on 918thefan.com.
Hey everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. This is Kana, you're in my corner, and I'm still here with Ellyn, just so you know. We were actually talking behind the scenes, and it was such an awesome conversation that we wanted you to be a part of it. And I did comment on your points about women and whatnot, and you said many people in your panel couldn't find a woman role model. And it's funny for me because I consistently tell the people on air, the listeners out there, that I love Sailor Moon still. Sailor Moon's still my favorite show. I've always loved Sailor Moon because she has such a positive outlook on things. It's the love, the goodness, all the, sort of, that's a power in its own right. And I always respected that outlook. So I guess you could say Sailor Moon for me is sort of a role model.
Well, wouldn't it be nice if Sailor Moon had all that, and yet you couldn't see under her dress?
That's true, but at the
Wouldn't
same time, they're not too skimpy in comparison to some of the things I've seen nowadays.
Right. But wouldn't it be nice if Sailor Moon did not have also that quality, that she was just loving and that you could just support her, from those qualities? See, anime is much, much deeper than Western animation. And this is why people are so passionate about it. They ask the challenging philosophical questions, and they delve into philosophy and science fiction that is just so phenomenal. And we want to talk about it, and we want to explore it. And Sailor Moon has such a fabulous character. Why does she have to have her breasts exposed under her dress? Why do we always have to see her underwear?
Now,
See, this is what I'm talking about. Why can't we take away that stuff?
It is a little funny to me that because the creator, the person who made Sailor Moon, I believe, was female.
Right. And guess who her bosses are?
Male, probably.
Right. So she can write whatever she wants to, but she's still got to adhere to what the company wants that is purchasing from her.
Right. I totally understand
dominant.
that. It is a little bit male dominant. I think there's a big submission thing in Japan. I do think that women are starting to sort of go out of that a little because very few now in Japan, want to get married. They want to, they instead want to get jobs, or they want to get guys with really good jobs.
Right. Well, women are expanding and evolving beyond those role models, beyond the role of the geisha, which is the quiet, subservient woman who is there for the man. A woman has to have a life beyond that. Now, I am not advocating non-marriage. I'm not advocating anything like that. I've been married 28 years, and I have 2 children who
Congratulations.
are grown. Thank you so much. And I'm just meaning that we have to explore beyond it. And so this is what I always say. I want to challenge all the female listeners and the men as well to write these characters, to produce your own anime. It doesn't only have to be done in Japan. Start doing it. Start doing it right now.
And now I'm curious, you've talked about this panel. Where can we catch you to, view this panel for ourselves?
Well, I was just at Anime St. Louis, and next I'm going to Game. That's June 4th through the 6th of this year in Orlando, Florida. And then I'll be at MechaCon, July 16th through the 18th. That's in New Orleans, Louisiana. Can't wait for that. I can't wait for Orlando also. I love Orlando.
I know that maybe 2 of our correspondents might be going to the Game Expo, but I'm not sure yet. It's sort of still up in the air. But if we do go, we'll make sure to say hi.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
And are there any other ones?
Well, that's all that I have right now because I've actually been very busy. I've been filming. And so I have to work also. I have to work besides going to conventions. But they're so much fun. And I love meeting the fans and hearing what they all have to say. And it never ceases to surprise me. I'm always surprised. I kind of feel like Sally Fields winning the Oscar. You like it? You really like it? You like me? You really like me? Because, as I said, we had no idea when we were starting this that it was going to have the life it does. It's pretty amazing. Really, really is pretty amazing. I mean, through the years, I've been a director, I've been a voice actress, I've been an actress. I told you some of the shows I was on, didn't I?
Yes, you did mention a few of them, but would you like to inform us about your current projects or your upcoming ones that you can talk about?
Well, what is happening right now is I just did a whole bunch of small independent pieces. I did one called The Waiting Room, another called The Other Way, not out yet. I did something else called L Dot, another thing called Both Thumbs. I did a little art project art film called Electronica 2. And, my most recent, I just filmed a web series called Milk and Honey, and that is starring Debbie Allen. She was from Fame. Do any of you remember Fame? That was the show that was kind of like Glee. It was about show business within a school.
I think it was a little bit before my time, but I will say that I believe I saw reruns, so I'm not as familiar with it as I should be.
I'm sorry. I feel like a dinosaur here. Anyhow, Milk and Honey is kind of like a black entourage, and I do like the Beverly D'Angelo, Jeremy Piven kind of character. I'm the head of an agency, a very large agency, and it's quite a fun show. So I don't know when it's going to be airing, but hopefully that will be soon.
And now, since you don't know exactly when it's going to be airing now, is there any place you can inform the listeners out there, like your Facebook or website or anything like that?
Well, I am on Facebook. I'm on Facebook as Ellyn Stern Epcar. My professional name that I generally go by is Ellyn Stern. I'm on Facebook. I do have a website that is almost a non-website because it's being constructed right now. And they can go to Ellyn at ellynstern.com and write me there. And you can
Very
see
nice.
a reel and, a couple of things, but it's in its primitive stages, so it's not quite up yet. But
At least
contact
you
me
actually have a
there and
website.
Yes. I have a baby website. It's kind of like before anime knew it was anime. That's what my website is.
I know that a lot of voice actors out there, they don't go with the Twitter and the Facebook movement, so it's really nice to hear that you do have one and you do interact with the fans or update them a little bit on that.
Absolutely, and I love to hear from the fans, and I love to hear what they think, and I love to hear what they feel, because they're the most important people. Without the fans, there would be no anime.
And now I'm curious, is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there?
I know there's always one question that comes up every time I do the conventions. It's like people will say, how do I become a voice actor? Well, if you want to be a voice actor, there are 3 basic places that you have to live. One is Los Angeles, the other is Texas, and the other is New York. Or if you're fortunate enough to have residency in Canada, Canada gets stuff also. But the 3 places are the basic places. However, I just came from St. Louis, and Jimmy, I'm forgetting his last name, he just started a big anime studio in St. Louis. So they're popping up in different places. If you want to be a voice actor, what you have to do is take acting classes, because what you have to bring to a character is a 3-dimensional character and not just a funny voice. So take acting classes, take voice classes, learn how to speak, learn how to sustain a sentence so that you don't run out of air on the end of a sentence. This is the way so many people talk. Hi, Jackie, it's great to meet you, and I'm going to go now. Bye.
Oh.
They run out of air I'm exaggerating a great deal. But they run out of air at the end of a sentence. And you have to sustain the whole sentence so that it has the same amount of air at the beginning that it does at the end, so that your voice doesn't drop. And that's voice classes. Acting classes, voice classes. Watch, of course, I don't need to tell them to watch anime, but, and the other thing is find your money voice. Your money voice is, who are you really?
If you have a voice that sounds like this,
then that's the work you're going to get. If you have a voice that sounds like this, you're going to be doing the deeper voices.
if you have a voice that sounds like this, then you're going to be doing the old ladies.
If you do celebrity voices, that's also a good thing. Love me or leave me, little lamb, but don't just stand there. Look and explore and keep practicing. And find a microphone, bring it home, don't steal it. No, I'm being stupid.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. I think a lot of people are enjoying it.
Oh, good. No, but get a microphone, practice at home. it's one thing to speak, it's another thing to listen to the sound of your own voice. And once you've listened to the sound of your own voice, then sit back and be critical and say, where does my voice lie? In what category? If you've got a high voice, that's your money voice. That's where the bulk of your characters are going to be. If you're a young man and you have a hero's voice, which is, the 20s, early 20s, late teens, that whole pocket, huge demand for that also. Those ages, like your sounding voice, these are the voices that come and go quite quickly. This is what you call your money voice. So don't submit a tape to somebody that has all kinds of old people voices or that has, weird little funny things. You want to sell who you are. Once you're in there, once you're in the studio, then they'll say to you, well, can you do this voice? Can you do that voice? Can you try this? And then, you can explore your other options. But your money voice, let me see, who's your favorite young voice actor?
Young voice actor? Oh gosh, it's terrible to ask me favorites because I talk to them all.
Or your favorite young voice actress?
I guess I would say that at the moment I really adore Stephanie Shea's voice acting because she can reach such a high pitch.
Stephanie is a perfect example. Stephanie has a great young person's voice. Of course, Stephanie is so tiny. She's, that's her voice box. I adore Stephanie. She's a fabulous voice actress, and she's a good actress also. But that's where most of her voice work comes from, is the young people's voices. Now, when Stephanie gets in a booth, she can do other voices also. But that's her money voice. And so I say to you, find your money voice. Look at the characters that repeat and repeat and repeat and say, where do I fall in? Am I the young hero? Am I the young heroine? Am I, there's tons of characters. Or do you take someone like me? See, now I can go in and do the young voices. I can do a little boy also. But there are people who go in there, and if there's a big chunk of work, I'm not going to get called in for the young people's voices. That's why I do a lot of moms. Typecasting. Stephanie Shea is so tiny, and she's so cute, and she does have a high voice. And so, there is some typecasting. You do get cast according to what your voice naturally is. So explore that.
Well, I think this is all very good advice for those interested in entering the voice acting field, and I think that a lot of our listeners will really appreciate you answering that. I try not to bombard a lot of voice actors with that question because I know you get it a ton at conventions.
No, it's fine. I'm more than happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's your time, and I'm delighted to talk to you, Jackie.
Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you as well, and before we let you go, I was wondering if you'd like to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Absolutely, I would love to.
Awesome! We ask everybody who comes on, whether they're a voice actor or not, if they'd be willing to do a bump for us.
A what?
A bump, basically say a line for us.
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
And we
What
do this on air for any of the scripts, so it's sort of fun all around. But we basically ask everybody to fill in the following blanks for my name is, I do this, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
My name is, and what is the other?
I do this, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
And you're tuned, I'm writing this down, and you're tuned into
91.8 The Fan.
91.8 The Fan.
Yeah.
And when you say I do this, what do you mean?
Certain people, they say a specific character they do. You can be, I'm an actor, I'm a voice actress, or I'm a director. It's basically to fill in whatever you want to fill in.
Okay, awesome. My name is Ellyn Stern. I do Haraway and Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. And you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan.
Perfect. Thank you so much. No screw-ups at all.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Jackie.
Oh, definitely, and I hope to catch your panels because they sound very interesting, and thank you so much for joining the show.
My pleasure. Bye to all the fans. Bye to 91.8. Thank you.
And for everybody out there, if you missed any of this interview, shame on you. You can catch it in the next few days. Just make sure to stay tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Here's Girls' Generation and their song, Run, Devil, Run.